This is it. FIFA 23 releases next week, and I'm sure one of the things that most people will be looking at doing immediately is building their dream team. The problem is there's going to be a lot of mistakes that players make when building their starter team. So to help you out, I've listed some of the major mistakes that players make right at the beginning, and hopefully by making them clear of what these mistakes are, you can easily avoid them. But before we do get into the video, if you're looking to get some very easy coins for FIFA 23, at some point Mule Factory will have them listed. This is one of the easiest ways in which you can really hit the ground running. So when the coins are available, make sure that you are heading over to there, use the link in the description down below, and at checkout, make sure that you are using Fnatic5 to get a 5% discount. Getting back into the video. Every single year, I see players make the exact same mistakes, and it's with the first hurdle. It's building your starter team. And if these players simply avoided these mistakes when they were building their teams, they would end up having a lot more coins and they would probably have a much better team. So let's actually go through some of the mistakes that players make. Firstly, and this is one I'm already seeing because it's actually done before Ultimate Team is released. This is where players completely miscalculate their price prediction. Player ratings have already announced, and we're starting to see databases such as FUTBIN and FUTWIZ include a number of these players, which you can then put together into a team. And this is what people do every single year, especially the hardcore players. It is a fun thing to do. I even did it last year, and I say last year, I've done it for several years. And this isn't a problem, but the problem does come in when players expect to be making 10 to 20k on their very first day, all playing legit. They're not looking to get FIFA points, they're just looking to grind the game by going through matches, and they expect to get a certain rare gold team at a similar price to what they can get that exact same team within FIFA 22. It's not the case that it'll be at the exact same price at the start of FIFA 23, and it really throws people off. There will be a lot of rare gold players which are way more expensive than what you expect them to be. And in a lot of cases, it's because they're good. It's likely they have a very high value in one of their stats, most likely pace, especially if it's a pacey centre back. They're probably going to be valued 5k or more. Some, even last year, there was a lot that were actually extinct. But sometimes it's around a player which isn't even that good, it's just that their position is extremely desirable within a league. We normally see this with fullbacks within the Premier League. And this isn't even just rare gold players now, we're talking about common gold players being valued 1 to 2,000 coins each. And it's just because all the good options are way too expensive, so it forces players to look at these not so good options, but because there's still such high demand for Premier League players, at least these fullbacks being fairly expensive for what they are. So when first initially planning your team, expect players to be 2 or even 3 times more expensive than what you currently think. The second mistake is that they buy teams that do not allow any experimentation. Now this was a much bigger problem before the chemistry change that we're going to be having within FIFA 23. Because of how chemistry used to work, where you needed to link players together in order for them to get chemistry, when you built a hybrid which required one very specific player to link to another very specific player, it meant that only those 2 players would work in that team, and if they weren't as good as what you expected, it means the whole hybrid is ruined depending how crucial those players are. Now this year it's slightly different in that players don't link directly to each other, you just need them to be within a starting 11, but the same thing does apply. Bear in mind that right at the beginning, you're not going to be able to buy into the very best players. You're dealing with average rare gold or even common gold players. And even if they get 0 chemistry, they will still be playing at their base attributes and they will not be negatively affected. It's still worth, right at the beginning, trying to get as much chemistry as possible so that these average players are performing slightly better. And that will give you an edge within your first lot of division games where hopefully you can go on and win them, which will give you even more coins for you to play with. Chemistry will still be important early on. It's not until you get to the much better players where chemistry doesn't really make too much of a difference because the players that you've bought already have insane stats. The third mistake is buying one player at a time. This is more about the transition from when you first start Ultimate Team and you get your starter team, which involves bronze, silvers, and normally 3 common gold players, and then transitioning from that to your actual first proper team that you've bought and built yourself. This normally is the process that most players follow. They start Ultimate Team, get their starter squad, they go into a match, most likely squad battles, they'll get 600-700 coins, come out of that game, go over to the transfer market, buy a player for 700 coins. They will then place them into their team, only to go through this exact cycle again and again and again until they have a full gold starting 11. This is the slowest way to play. Even if you don't like trading, it's much better for you to start Ultimate Team, complete your objectives, get some coins, and make 2 or 3 trades. Whilst they're listed on the transfer market, head into squad battles, play your match to get your 600 or 700 coins. With the coins that you get, instead of buying a player, you'll go into trade again, using the exact same method. Every time that you do this, you increase the amount of coins that you have, you increase the amount of trades that you have, and eventually, after about 4 or 5 games, you will probably have 10 to 15k. Much quicker than if you was just to play a match, buy a player, play a match, buy a player, and keep this loop going. The fourth mistake is building a team that simply doesn't fit the meta. Now, there's a certain feeling that most players have when starting a new Ultimate Team. They expect to be the ones to experiment with loads of different players, for them to find the meta before anyone else, and for them to have a lot of success, much more than the average player. Unfortunately, because there's so many people doing this and they all have their own motives, that it's likely someone's going to find it before you, and it's even more likely that once they do find it, they're going to document it. They're going to share it on social media, or they're going to share it as part of these different FIFA communities, whether it be Discord servers or anything else. It doesn't take long for players to find the meta. There are so many people playing this game and it's so well documented that it's probably going to be out there within the first couple of hours. And that's not a problem, because even though the meta has already been explained by other players, most likely pro players, you can consume their content, understand what the meta is, and apply it to your team. You don't need to experiment with different formations, different players, different chemistry styles, when there's people out there that are willing to do it for you, and all you need to do is somewhat copy them. And it's not like there's just going to be one player that fits the meta. There's going to be hundreds, potentially even thousands. And it's likely that you will go into these Discord servers and there will be people talking about a specific type of player. Once you see a number of people saying the exact same thing, it's likely that that player is good. Now it's just down to whether or not it fits into your team and whether or not you actually want to use them. There's simply no point wasting your time with randoms hoping they're going to be good when you already know someone is guaranteed to be good. This will save you a lot of time, it'll save you a lot of money, and I guarantee you will win a lot more games. The fifth mistake is putting all of your coins into one good player, rather than actually spreading up those coins into a number of good players that you can use in your team. It's much better to build a well-rounded team rather than buy one insanely good player. Now, for most people, this tends to happen after they open their starter or loyalty packs. And if that is the case, it's much better for you to sell them early on, get the coins, build a much better well-rounded team, rather than just having that one person surrounded by common golds or 80 rated rare gold players. It's just not worth it. I understand that for a lot of people, they like the idea that they can use this player and it's going to be a first owner and they can keep them all year round. I understand that there is a collector's side to this game, but if you want the winning side, it's much more efficient for you to sell the player, get the coins, and then buy 11 cheaper players which are still good within the game, and then use that. You'll have a much better team than the average player, and this will give you an edge. If you have the coins and you're looking to buy one of these players, it's not worth it. Yet again, just spread your coins across 11 players, all of them will still be good, and it's likely, even though they're lower rated, they're still going to be insanely good players in game. We see this time and time again. Last year, it was the case of Kimpembe. Kimpembe, 83 rated, rare gold player, ended up being better than nearly every special card, all the way up until probably team of the season. And yes, he was somewhat expensive at the beginning because everyone knew that he fit the meta, but by November, you was able to buy him for like 10-15k. Much cheaper than any type of icon, any higher rated defender, but Kimpembe was still 1,000 times better. And the final mistake we're going through is players using their starter team which was gifted from EA with bronze, silvers, and free common gold players, using that team to go into online division games. The only way this isn't a mistake is probably for the top 10% of players, simply because they're pro players. They are very good at this game and they're much better than the average player. So even if they take their bronze and silver starter teams, they're likely still going to win games. And by the time it does start to pick up and get a bit more challenging, it's likely that they've built up a decent coin balance at that point and they've bought into much better players. But for everyone else, it is so much better for you to use your starter team, your bronze and silver team, into squad battles until you get a gold team. That is when you'll go into divisions, and if you do get lucky and you do come up to someone who is using their starter team, hopefully you should be able to get an easy win. But everyone else that you come up against will have gold teams. This links back to the point that we made earlier. FIFA is so well documented, everyone knows what they're doing, everyone can hit the ground running, and it will not take them long to get a gold team. So do not put yourself at a disadvantage. But anyway guys, here are just some of the mistakes that players make when building their first team in Ultimate Team. If you do have any questions about anything, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going to see ya.